10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Alien Pro Podcast. It's Saturday, October 15th, 2022. I'm Doug. Joining me again today is Dr. Bill. Bill,
Hey.
how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I got a new chair.
Yeah, a
doesn't
non-squeaky
squeak.
chair. Well, he couldn't hear your chair before.
When I watch the YouTube videos.
Oh,
on Omni. Well, in Omni too, if I listen in the truck, I could hear the squeak.
Okay.
Probably nobody really noticed it. It really bothered Debbie when she would do a show with me.
There's my
And she's
chair.
like, you got to get rid of that chair. So like, I went down and bought, I saw some cool gaming chairs, but it's weird because they're, we're going to do a furniture segment now.
Yes, furniture. Well, I see
we're
that.
We're going to get to some UFO stuff in a second.
Well, I see that. I see the high back chairs, and I see some fancy chairs that these gamers use on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's a really cool chair, but just the display models, the way the fabric is on the arms was starting to come off, and it's real thin covering over the frame of the.
Was it a nylon?
Chair.
Was it a nylon?
Yeah,
nylon
it's
cloth.
It's not leather. Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts stripping off. So Debbie's like, I said, I really want one of these because it looked like my spaceship chairs.
Yeah.
That would go really good, And she's like, yeah, you're not going to like it after about a month when it starts falling apart.
Peeling. Yeah, I was looking at the
start peeling off.
Looking at the arms on my chair to see what I think they're leather. I'm not sure. But I have an expensive.
So it's just really comfortable, and
chair.
the arms come up, and
Yeah, I like the headrest. I wish this thing had it. It only comes up.
It's nice to be able to just because I need to do that. So today, Skinwalker. Now we're going to talk about Skinwalker again, but not the Skinwalker. The Secret of, what is it? What is the name of that show? The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, or
the TV
with
show
with Travis Taylor?
Travis.
Okay, now you start out by I'm all right. I did a little boost of the podcast on Facebook, and I'm not going to mention any last names, but we got some good comments. Matthew stated, "We need more of Dr. Bill's Travis Taylor's accent in my life. Cracks me up every time." And we got a great podcast. So you got to make sure you do your Travis Taylor.
No, I'm embarrassed.
I'll do it now.
I'm self-conscious. I'll never be able to do it right. I'll never be able to do it right again.
You're not going to be able to help yourself the next time we bring it up.
Travis Taylor, Travis. So we're doing Skinwalker Ranch, but it's from the Basement Office. Part 1, yes. Basement Office from the New York Post, which has a few episodes out there. They're really, really good. Recommend watching them.
Yeah, Nick Pope and Steven Greenstreet. Greenstreet's a weirdo.
Yep. Steven Greer, he's a weirdo.
Yeah, he seems like a little bit of a weirdo.
He is a weirdo.
He's cool.
I don't like his haircut. I don't like his haircut.
That is a problem.
Yes, I don't. He is the shape of his head with the current haircut he has doesn't work. He needs to talk to his stylist about it. But of course he is.
He's watching the show. Of course he is. Getting your fashion tips.
He is.
Hairstyle fashion tips.
That's the current style, I think, in New York or wherever he is. I think he's in New York. Yeah. That's a stylish. It's a stylish haircut now, I guess. Now it doesn't work. Steven, is his name Steve? Steve?
I think it's Steven.
Steve.
Steven.
Steve, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Steve, it doesn't.
Fix it.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. I may have to adopt that New York. So I always wear a hat,
Yeah, well, because, it's just really short on the side. It's like a high and tight. It's like I had to have a high and tight for a while. It's like I wasn't voluntary.
I know.
It was required.
Kind of required. As I watched Full Metal Jacket last night.
Oh, I saw that.
I was only going to watch a little bit of it, but you just can't turn it off.
The boot camp scenes are accurate. Absolutely accurate, and they have there is some continuity errors with the boot camp scenes, but you'd only know that if you were in boot camp.
Yeah, it was, and the Army wasn't quite as intense as
they just have some
Marines.
Continuity order sequences that aren't quite right.
You consider yourself a Marine, always a Marine till you die, like they said.
I don't even know what that means.
I thought that was a
That's
thing.
what they say. I don't know.
Thing.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. I know what
After I got out of the Army, I'm like, that was an experience. Go away now.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. They say that, but that's like, I don't know what that is. And it's like, it was a job. I mean, I got paid. I got my honorable discharges. I got my promotions. Yep. What more do you need?
So did I. And I'm just like, now I'm out.
Well, yeah.
I'm not going to do this my whole life.
No. Well,
because there's very political. Oh, it was really political too.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like
that. But it wouldn't have been a bad life. I mean, your brother did it, retired.
My brother did 20 years in the Navy.
He's doing another job, and he's
works for a defense contractor now, and he's doing very well.
Great experience for him. I mean, it works. It works if you want to commit to it.
Yeah. I can't picture myself 20 years in any branch of service.
Well, at the time when we were 20, we couldn't. You look at when you're 20 years old and you're looking at that and you go, God, 20 years, it's like forever.
It's like an eternity. Life sentence.
It's eternity. Eternity. It's going to be forever. But then it's like you hit 40 and you're like, hey, I could have been in the military for 20 years. I'd be retiring right now and starting my next career. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's dedicated.
Well, your dad, that's advice from your dad. Your dad told me, he goes, look, you go 20 years, your adopted dad, not your biological dad.
Yeah.
He says, you go 20 years in the military and you retire. And then you take another job and you spend 20 years in that and you retire. And then by that point, so you're 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and then you get Social Security, and you get you're in your 60s and you're collecting 3 pensions. And he goes, it's not bad. And there was a retired military guy that I should tell you who I ran into in the parking lot at the Publix grocery store. So there was a retired military guy I was talking to, and I said he'd been in the military for 20 years, and then he'd been a cop, and then he was getting Social Security, and I happened to be talking to him, and I go, how many pensions are you collecting? He goes, yeah, I'm collecting 3. It's like, oh, yeah, do what I want, do whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's something. I didn't listen to him. Like I didn't listen to him about a lot of things,
no. You were angry. You were mad at him.
I'm doing all right.
So
is that Harlan Ellison?
Where did he just walk by? Are you going to point out the obvious?
Harlan
Ellison. Yeah, it's Harlan Ellison. And
look at that.
Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock.
Spock is smiling.
Smiling Spock.
And Kirk writes, "Who's the kid in the middle?"
Yeah.
Harlan wasn't a very big man.
No, he was a little tiny guy. And if you look in the thing, you can see sunglasses up there, and I bet you they're Harlan's sunglasses because he was also a very cool guy. And would wear.
He's very Hollywood.
Yeah, and he wears sunglasses.
That's awesome. That's a great picture.
Hey, so I was in the grocery store or the parking lot, and there's this guy in the handicap parking spot in a big Lincoln with all 4 doors open. And I'm like, I think he was just opening it up to get the hot air out. And I was parked next to him, and so I'm looking at this and going, why is the guy got all the doors open? And then an older guy, and then he walks over and he shuts the door on the side where my car is. I think because I was getting in my car and he was getting it out of the way. And he was wearing a hat that said USS Trout. And I go, were you on is that for a submarine? He goes, yeah, I was on a submarine. I go, what did you do and what type of sub? He goes, when I got out of Annapolis in 1959, I was put on the USS Trout, which was a diesel submarine as their electronics officer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, wow, that's very cool. And I wish
he's got some stories.
Oh man. And I'm like, that's really cool. And I got my car and I drove off, and I'm on my way home and I'm going, crap, he would be a great guy to talk to and get stories from.
That's
So
the worst. That's the worst submarine name I've ever heard in my life.
the trout. Well, all the old
That's the most uncool submarine name I've ever
all
heard.
the old submarines were named after fish. I asked him about that, and he says, "Oh yeah, now they name them after congressmen and whoever and whatnot." But traditionally, World War II and before, they were all named after fish. A submarine was named after a fish, like swordfish or
The swordfish is okay,
yeah,
but trout.
yeah, USS Trout. So
The guppy.
I don't know if they do the Guppy. I think they did that for a movie, for the USS Guppy, and that was it was a comedy, I think.
I think that's a spoof on the fish submarine names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But that was really cool to run into a guy like that.
Should have got his number.
Yeah, I was really kicking myself afterwards.
So Skinwalker, with the basement files at the back door, the basement office, and so yeah, they talk. I don't know. It seems like they're kind of debunking this. I mean, well, Steven is. I don't know what Nick Pope. What's his deal?
Nick Pope. They're critical. They're not debunking. They're doing critical analysis of Skinwalker. And as we've seen from watching the show, anybody who's watched the show, you're looking at that and you're going, come on. It's critical. Hey, I don't have the name of the book, but have you seen the movie Stalker? It's a really long Russian movie. It's on HBO Max right now. And in Stalker, this is what I think they're trying to make Skinwalker Ranch to be like in the movie Stalker. And the movie Stalker is based on a book called Roadside Picnic, written by a couple Russian guys. And they also did the screenplay for the movie. And what the concept is that a space aliens came down and landed on Earth in this place and had like a picnic and just left a bunch of garbage. And it transformed the area that they landed in because the stuff is so out there, high tech. So just think of ants interacting with garbage left from people having a modern picnic with all the crap that they would leave, and ants trying to understand what the stuff was. And that's the idea behind Stalker and Roadside Picnic. And I think that's what they're trying to push as Skinwalker Ranch, is like it's this place with anomalous phenomena because of some sort of alien interaction.
It's made after a show called Oak Island.
Oak Island. That's the model.
Because that's been on millions. Oh yeah, it's the same model.
It's the media model.
And it's made money. It's dying, I hope, because it's terrible.
Well, they have another
Found
show.
a button.
Yeah, they have another show that's after Oak Island, where they're looking at other. I looked at that.
Yeah, they had to do that because I think it's petering out because they poke so many holes in that poor island. They're probably gonna sink it.
One of the things that they could have done is there's like the guy that has supposedly dug up the treasure that was living on the island, and they could have looked for ancestors and researched him, and I hated it when I was watching that show and they're going, look on this map and it says Captain Kidd. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You're like pretending you just heard about this right now. I got a 100-year-old book that talks about it. Captain Kidd, my Captain Kidd book, which talks about Captain Kidd and Oak Island and all that stuff.
At 100 years old?
It's close. 1937.
It's old.
So it is old. And it's just like, just, I think you could have found that on the internet while they've been doing the show. So Basement Office, and he's being more, why did he say, he's saying he's being more skeptical.
As he looked backwards on it.
Yeah.
So that they didn't, there's no proof. I mean, that's the whole premise if you want to go all the way to the end. Said, there's no proof. He went to, they tried to get a hold of George Knapp and from the book.
Oh, yeah.
The skin that I read that book.
Yeah, I've read it too. I'm going to read the next one. I have it on Kindle, on my iPad.
Yeah, and I've read the book, and there's no pictures. It's just stories.
Yeah, and he's like, there's
you
no
and
index,
I could have wrote it.
No pictures, no No pictures.
Not a shred of evidence. There's supposed to be
No
dino beavers and
no
dino beavers
appendix. No
let me,
documents. Yeah.
paranormal ghosts and skinwalkers and you know wolves that you are bulletproof and
Yeah.
there's
Oh.
UFOs and they're hanging their hat on cattle mutilations, which is
Yeah. No.
there is two
Yeah,
Native American
the
tribes
Unitah
on
and
in
what
the
was
50 acres. It's weird. Or no, 500 acres. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, they show the
50
map, and you
acres.
can see they have you can see on the map where they have the outline of the reservation, and then they have other areas on the map that he showed in the show that show the settlers. This whole area was
Yeah.
a single reservation, and then the government changed the laws so settlers could come in there, people could come in there and say, if the Indians aren't using the land, we can take it from them.
Yeah.
And they did that up until 1933, which is when the Myers got the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, they were 33 to 1995. And the Myers, they interviewed, they found, they talked to someone on the Myers family, and they said they never saw anything. They lived there
they
lived there for, 60 years, and they saw nothing.
So I think you have this book too. We have the Utah UFO Display by Frank B. Salisbury. And he added, and this is the second edition. I'll read this for next week. Better make a note or I'll forget. He added a final chapter on Skinwalker Ranch in whenever this came out. When did he do this? 2010. And he went in and interviewed, I think he interviewed the Myers and some Sherman people on it, but I'll have more information. I didn't even know this was in here until I watched this show for the second time.
Yeah.
And he interviewed the people that live there. Oh, it's pretty long. Oh, it's a lot of words in that book. So, and they also, so the Myers were there from 33 to 95 with no paranormal activity. Oh, they called it, did they call it in the book, did they call it the ground zero of a paranormal Disneyland?
Yeah.
And then the Shermans were there for a year. I thought that, well, they were there longer, but they came in and they managed the ranch. So they were there for a year, and then Bigelow bought the ranch.
Well, they put in the local paper about how they're seeing all this UFOs and paranormal things, and that's where Bigelow caught the article. To me, it just seems like the Shermans wanted to unload it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So they made up this story.
Well, I also think that the Shermans were getting hassled by the local Native Americans, like I've talked about, because there's a lot of animosity in this area. And what bothers me is that nobody has gone in there. Well, you could see it a little bit in the Skinwalker Ranch book, because she went to, I think she went to the local tribe, something, to talk to people about, she went there to talk to them about the dogs, the wild dogs she was seeing. And so she went to the local tribal headquarters or something to complain about the dogs. And they're like, shut up. We don't know what you're talking about. And even if we did, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And then the Shermans said they were seeing weird stuff. Yeah. And Bigelow bought it. 1096, Bigelow bought it. So the Shermans were there for a year or less.
Yeah, they wanted to unload it, and Bigelow seems like he took it hook, line, and sinker. I don't know.
Yeah.
He wants to know about paranormal. As we talked about before, Bigelow has lost some loved ones in tragic ways. That story is a little weird as well, about the loved ones he's lost, and he wants to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
In the afterlife.
Well,
they are.
That's a pattern. I think Keene is doing that too now. Keene, who wrote this UFO, Leslie Keene, she wrote the book on UFOs. She wrote a book on UFOs.
Yeah.
And she's doing that now too. There was a special on Netflix where she's investigating like mediums and stuff. I watched a couple of them. This book actually looks really good. I need to read. I have
Yeah,
so much.
I don't.
I have so much reading to do.
I mean, there's not enough on UFOs, so we got to print.
No,
I'm tired
no,
of that now.
I have my bibliography is up to 180.
Now you got to do paranormal. How many?
180.
80?
Oh yeah, I'm doing.
108.
I'm actually doing paranormal stuff. So you just sent that latest thing by Chris Lato,
Yeah.
where he's going through Puthoff, a paper written by Puthoff, and sort of an analysis and a critique of UFO investigations. And Chris Lato did a great job. I watched it just before we started doing this, and yeah, 2x speed, and
I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, it's not the best way to do it. I did it because I was in a hurry. But so he went through, and I'm losing my train of thought. He went through Puthoff. Who cares? I don't know.
Puthoff, his name keeps coming up.
No. I know where I'm going. Puthoff he's one of those. He's the guy who was involved with. No, he wasn't involved with the guys who stare with goats from the basement office. That's that John Alexander, who was also on Skinwalker Ranch. He was the goat starer. Maybe I shouldn't mention that. Men who stare at goats.
That's a great movie.
It was. I want to watch it again. Well, yeah, but it's like after they saw this guy interviewed, I was like, I don't know.
The general or whatever.
Yeah, when I saw him
General
on Skinwalker.
Alexander.
Yeah,
he came on the Skinwalker show.
Yeah,
and talked about the things that they've seen.
He didn't.
It's amazing that they can. It's just. It feels like the worst lie.
Yeah, he doesn't fill me with confidence. He does not fill me with confidence. So Bigelow started his research years, set up multiple organizations, called them the Howard Hughes of UFOs, which I like. That's a good description for Bigelow.
That's a good description.
He bought the ranch in October 96, and April 27th, they came out with this, the Deseret News came out with this article. No UFOs or ETs have dropped in at Spooky Ranch. And I haven't read this, but I was looking at the
Truer
end of
words
this.
are never spoken.
Says at the end, it says Sherman signed a non-disclosure agreement with Bigelow after selling the ranch and has declined subsequent interviews with Desert News. Sherman, however, gave new information to Colorado writer and cattle mutilation researcher David Perkins for a story in this month's Spirit magazine. I should check that out. Sherman had bizarre experience the last night they spent on the ranch. They woke up to find their bed sheets covered with blood and 1/8 inch deep scoop marks on their right thumbs. That's wild.
Oh, ow.
Ooh. They didn't mention that. Yeah, they didn't mention that in they talked about this because the title says no ETs have dropped in at Spooky Ranch. Well, that's something to look into.
Native Americans are torturing them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's one of the things with the guys that happened at Skinwalker Ranch is this guy was in his house and he said he heard something out and someone came in and like an invisible entity came in through the house and opened doors and walked through. And I was wondering that you've heard the phrasing shit or go blind.
Yeah, my dad coined that.
Yeah, I probably heard it from him.
He doesn't know whether to shit or go blind.
So it's when I took that as when somebody is so terrified that they basically just go blind. And they had that guy at Skinwalker Ranch, and I have a feeling it was probably just a Native American guy, maybe even done up like, with the
they had the wolf pelt on them.
Yeah, just done up like that, and then just came into his house, and the guy just did that thing. That is a real phenomenon that happens. Not saying it's happened to me.
My dad, that shit or go blind is just you can't make a decision.
Well, yeah, I know, but
I just know whether to shit or go blind.
Yeah. But I took that as you're so terrified that you just don't see anything.
Yeah.
You just can't see. You just don't know what to do. And I have
You
a feeling.
You ever been that scared, Bill? As a child, maybe not. I mean, of course, we've seen it all now. We don't really get scared. But
I have been pretty terrified. I had a coworker collapse while I was talking to him and just
really?
dropped like a rock. And that was
Did they have a stroke or something?
I think it
What
was
happened?
just I don't know what it
Low
was.
blood sugar.
Yeah, something. I don't know what it was. She was okay, and I was just talking with this person at work, and they just dropped like a rock. And it
Oh
was
my
it was
God.
terrifying because it's just gone. This person just collapsed. It's like someone had just shot her in the head and she was like dead. And so
Wow.
I got another person in there to hold her, and this wonderful other person I worked with just immediately sat down and was holding her hand and had her head in her lap. And we were our building was right across from the emergency room, across the street. So I ran over to the emergency room, I went through the ambulance entrance because that's the easy way to get in the hospital. You didn't have to show ID, and I knew this. So I ran into the emergency ambulance entrance, ran into the emergency room, ran up to the first doctor. I said, one of my colleagues has just collapsed, and we need help. And he's like, well, you need to blah, blah, blah. I said, we are part of the hospital. Our building was part of the hospital. I said, we're part of the hospital. We need help now. And so he said, okay. So he grabbed a wheelchair and very, very calmly walked a thing. And
he
I
didn't
think
even run.
now he walked. He didn't walk slow, but he didn't run. And he walked over there, and I think he was doing that so I wouldn't freak out. So he was being the calm emergency room doctor.
Yeah.
And so he walked over there and put her in the wheelchair, brought her in the emergency room. They put her in, one of the things. I called her husband, and he came out. And then I went, like an hour later, I went into the emergency room through the ambulance entrance and found him to check on him. And she was okay. I don't know what happened, and they never really told me if there was anything wrong with her or not. I don't think it was serious.
Yeah.
But that was terrifying to be talking to somebody and having them just drop like they're dead. So that's probably the most terrifying thing I've ever seen, other than the ghost.
Yeah.
And the werewolf.
I remember when I was a kid, I don't know what even happened. I remember being scared pretty badly. By certain, I don't know remember what it was. But,
yeah, I mean, there's when you're a kid.
You're kids, when you're a kid, it's like pretty easy.
Well, I've
Weird stuff happens.
I've had a few. I remember a few nightmares where you wake up and you're really scared.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, and my kid did that a few times, and then I just loaded him up with weapons.
Yeah.
So he had.
You're gonna shoot you by accident.
Yeah. He had a wooden sword and had a crossbow, a little crossbow that would fuck you up though if you got hit in the eye.
Yeah, I've got a pistol. I don't know if I showed you while you were here. I have a pistol crossbow that was left here.
Oh, one of those little ones, dinky ones.
Yeah, I mean, it has bolts. It'll kill you.
This is what he had. This would kill you. Well, it hurt you, but he had a little crossbow. It wasn't cocked. So he had a little. So he's having something. So I loaded him up with weapons. I think he had his BB gun, which is around here somewhere. The old you shoot your eye out, kid.
Daisy
had it in there, and then he had
Red Ryder.
Had a cat pistol, and he had a wooden sword, and so I said, okay, if you're scared, what we're gonna do, we're gonna load you up with weapons.
Not a bad solution.
Hey, actually. I mean, it's fine. He goes, I don't need all this stuff. I goes, oh, you don't need it right now. We might need it later. So anyway, nice. I think that was the last time that he had anything like that. But so anyway, but this so there was a year afterwards, and this newspaper article came out in the Deseret News, and they hadn't seen anything at the Skinwalker Ranch for a year. Although I really want to find this article in Spirit Magazine and take a look at it about the Shermans having their thumbs cut and weird stuff. Yeah,
thumb scooped.
So this sort of contradicts what we saw from the basement office and the implication of this article. And it's the very last sentence in this article about this.
Yeah.
So he was saying nothing, the Shermans had not experienced anything bizarre, but then here they are, something about them experiencing something bizarre. And I will read this chapter in the Utah UFO display on Skinwalker Ranch and see if that comes up with anything interesting for next week when we do the second part of the basement office, when we talk about that. Oh, it's not that long. I'll do that. But what else? We got Bigelow, created NINS.
Read another comment from the
Facebook. Do it.
From Rodney. I don't trust Elizondo any more than Greer, which we'll talk about in the next segment in a minute.
Yep.
I've had my own experience and done my own research and achieved my own disclosure, which, if I'm right, we're in a world of shit, which was an interesting comment. And then another gentleman wrote, his name was Frederick, and I won't mention last names.
Frederick.
They may not appreciate that. Thanks for the great comments, guys. We are always, and so that's me to him. I just told him thanks for the great comments. They did send in a TR. I don't know if you ever saw this, a TR-38 Taliban camp in Afghanistan, March of 2014, which it's a YouTube video of a TR-3B, not TR-38, TR-3B.
What is that?
That triangular mystery ship, we don't know, mystery craft. We don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And allegedly it's got some sort of apparent UFO technology flying around, and it's bombing the Taliban. And have you ever seen that video? No. I mean, it could have been doctored. We know easily.
Have you seen it? Did you find it?
Yeah, I didn't send it to you. I can send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll look at it.
It's interesting because these guys are all about, the UFO experience, and then another one's they have a page where if you've been abductees, alien abductees, not just regular abductees. They've got a page that you can go to. There's only 9 people on it right now. But
what's a regular? Oh, that was on Facebook.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they gave a link to that, but it's they're curious, as we are, about the UFO things that are happening in the world. So it was good to have them, as they were watching the Luis Elizondo, director of ATIP or OSEP. We don't know. We had another gentleman that just said, "Leave it alone. It's dead."
So
and he sent in a document. Remember that document I sent over? And he says they've figured it all out. I don't feel like they've figured it all out, actually.
I
think it's still weird about his involvement and everything, and what his role is today.
And Elizondo, I think he's at this point. I think he's pretty tapped out. I mean, he's
going away.
Yeah, he's given us all the information that there is, or he can give, or he knows. Yeah.
No doubt.
So the Bigelow Ranch NIDS came in. I have more intelligence committee, many people to connections. Everyone's connected to paranormal. Puthoff, which is an OT7 from Scientology, and Chris Lato looked that up, and OT7 isn't the highest, OT8 is. So Puthoff needs to get on the stick.
Is that where Travolta is? And Tom Cruise?
They're probably up. They're probably up there.
I've known.
Yeah, they're probably pretty high. I've known. Yeah, it is. It is a factor. I know people that are involved, or I knew people at one point that were involved in Scientology, and one guy worked at Ames Research, NASA Ames, and he was a real smart physicist, and it was just the thing he was in involved in. And
what is their gig anyway? I mean, I know they're like a church, but it's kind of like, are they
it's
in UFO? Is there any?
well, I think the ultimate revelation is that our souls are space alien souls. But I mean, it's like any church. It's a church. It's a community. They have activities. You do the stuff with the machine to sort of like,
Oh yeah, that machine.
yeah, what you're supposed to clear yourself and make yourself more of a functional person, I guess. And I think it does have a lot of benefits. Like I said, I knew a couple guys and a gal that were involved in it, and they were fine. Well, the girl worked for Scientology in San Francisco, and the two guys, one of them worked at Ames, and the other guy was a camera guy. He worked at a camera store, and these are all relatives. They were related to each other. They got benefit out of it. They liked it a lot. So it's
Debbie's last husband visited one of the places and talked to them about it, and then decided he didn't want to do it, but they badgered the hell out. They just kept calling and mailing crap and coming over. It was
hello,
crazy.
hello.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't want to give up.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story about the how the church came about. L. Ron Hubbard, and there's some strange, it's crazy. The guy was
Yeah, I saw a movie or a documentary about that. It was really weird how he got started and everything.
But it's I mean, look at Tom Cruise. I mean, he's been involved in that. The dude's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
it's done. Either he's was like that naturally, or I don't know what, but he is impressive. So, and John Travolta is the same thing. They both learned how to fly, high tech aircraft. And I don't know about John Travolta anymore, but I definitely think that with Tom Cruise, it's been something that has enhanced his life. But it is, from what I could tell, you do have to pay money. Well, mainly because you'll go to resorts and do activities. So that's something that I know this one guy, the guy that worked at Ames, he would go on maybe their retreats or whatever. And he would go to some place in Southern California and do these retreats with the church. And they had like a resort down there or something.
Oh.
So, and the other guy didn't do it because he didn't have a lot of money and he didn't progress in the church. But the other guy was progressing, but he could afford the upgrades, to pay for the upgrades.
Yeah, paid for the upgrades.
Yeah, it's basically what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, the people that I knew that were involved in it, I felt that they got benefit out of it. So, I mean, you can't fault them on it. I mean, if you're getting something out of it, if it's helping you, then it's good.
Yeah, it's a mystery to me.
Mystery. Well, you need to go. I'm sure there's an office in
I'm not going
facility,
to
and yes,
there is one here in Sacramento.
Listen to me. You need to go. You need to go.
Debbie, go with me.
When I was down in Hollywood with the family doing a trip, and we took the kid down, and we were running around to show the sights, and we were walking on Hollywood Boulevard, and there's a big Scientology facility there, which was empty. And there was a couple Scientology people talking to a young woman out front, I guess trying to convince her to come inside, we'll hook you up to the machine. If the people hadn't been standing in front with the woman, I probably would have walked in to check it out. But since they were because I don't think I've ever seen one of the places. So, but since they were sort of like huddled in front of the doors, I'm like, wow. And I was with my family, so I was like, hey, just wait outside. I'm going to go talk to the Scientology people for the hell of it.
Walking, I'll catch up with you.
Yeah. So, but I did go into the surplus store there. So they had an Army surplus store on Hollywood Boulevard. So I did
they have a good one, or is it the one where they just sell a bunch of new stuff?
It was the modern one. I mean, they don't have the old surplus stores like we had when we were kids.
Man, we have up in Placerville. They've got one, and they just sell like
it's new crap,
survival clothing.
Yeah,
it's gold panning stuff and patches and airborne.
Yeah,
and, you can. What do you call them? What do you call people that don't really? that say they've done stuff in the military, and
they have
what's the term you use?
stolen valor.
Yeah. So you can,
Well, I mean,
you can
everybody
put
wants.
that airborne decal on your car.
I'm gonna sew a patch to my chest. Everybody wants to be a hero. So I mean, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. Unless you've had the opportunity to be a hero, then you're like, no, it's okay.
I've found that most people that say they've done things usually haven't. The ones that have done them don't really talk that much about it.
No, no, there was something came up the other day that was reminding me of that.
So.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking we have a friend's father who passed away that actually was on. Oh God. All right, we're way off base here. So
we haven't even talked about Biden yet.
No, we will. I am. I knew a guy that fought in the Battle of the Bulge. He passed away 10 or 15 years ago. He died gloriously.
How'd he go?
He just drove off the road on his way to work. He worked as a gardener for some retirement facility. And he just died in the car and drove off the road and crashed. And that was it.
Did they think he did it on purpose or
no,
a heart attack?
No, he just something happened. He died. And
that's just how he went. We don't know if it was on purpose.
No, it wasn't on
purpose. I
don't think it was on purpose. I think he just he was very likable and he liked working at this place. It was his retirement job. He just was a gardener at a retirement home, a larger one. And he was the guy that did took care of the garden. And he didn't have a long drive. He just drove off the road and that was it. But he had two Bronze Stars from fighting in the Battle of the Bulge and in Germany.
Wow.
And so it's just like I tried to facilitate him getting buried in Arlington. I'm like, well, let's get the guy buried in Arlington. And they're like, well, buried in Arlington, you need to have at least a Silver Star. I go, are they cumulative? Can two Bronze Stars count as a Silver Star?
Equal as silver?
Yeah. So anyway, but no. And that reminds me, your real dad could have been buried in Arlington because of his rank.
Yeah.
At his retirement. So I don't know where he was. I don't know where he's buried.
I don't know where he has been they called interned. I don't know.
He's buried near your sister, I think, down in southern Florida.
Yeah.
But he could have been interred in Arlington based on his rank, if the rules are still the same. Oh. But so we have our wonderful president who barely knows what day it is, and he was talking about how his son had
always a good story.
How his son had died.
Proud to be an American.
Died in
Hunter.
Iraq no, is it Hunter? No, it was the other one, Bo.
Hunter's the one that's the cokehead.
Yeah, he's the So that
allegedly.
Guy, so he was a attorney at the air base in I think Iraq, maybe, I don't know, at one of the air bases. So that's where he served in the highly protected enclave as an attorney, and he got a Bronze Star. And it's
really?
How does an attorney who works in an office at an air base get the Bronze Star? So it's
know somebody.
Yeah, and I wonder where he's buried. Should look that up. If he's in Arlington, it's a crime. But anyway, back to Skinwalker, and we'll leave our sad political country. So the nukes haven't gone off yet. I'm in a perpetual state of disappointment because of it. Which they need to get.
Are you thinking maybe if they unleash? Well, they're not going to do. They'll do the local nukes. They're not going to do the massive.
No, not the local
country
stuff.
Killers.
No, I want the full-on Armageddon.
Well, they do that. I think we may be getting involved in the. I mean, I keep seeing. Now, do you think that this is all? You don't believe anything's going on?
I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything. I'm working on it.
Is there even anything happening?
Yeah, they
just left the people of Ukraine just left the country because all this whatever is happening.
Do you know do you know Ukraine put Elon Musk on their kill list?
Because of the satellite?
Yeah, thing? They put him on it and then they took him off. It's like, oh, he was on for like 15 minutes, but people saw it and archived it.
Oh.
What a bunch of dummies. It's like, and he's providing free internet with.
Well, it's helping with their war effort.
Yeah,
why doesn't our government? Well, I think the NATO should just pay him for that so they can have it.
I think
that's got to happen.
I think they're going to do that. But
I'm going to turn it off unless you pay me. It was all, revenue generated, motivation.
Well, yeah. God. So we're burning time with our ramblings.
Yeah.
So we want to be on topic, or we want to keep talking about other stuff?
Well, we can go over. We need to let's talk about the cosmic. What do you got?
Well, let's. I got a couple more notes on. On something on the Biden. The basement office. The basement office stuff. I'm looking at my notes. Let's see what I got. I got a lot of notes. Oh no, there's part 2s. All right, we're almost done. Yeah, there's part 2 for the basement office. This is just part 1. So we talked about.
I haven't seen part 2 yet. How could they do?
Yeah,
well,
the part 2. Part 2 is Skinwalkers in the Pentagon. So part 1 is the book Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
This one. Part 1, he does an analysis on the hunt for Skinwalker. And part 2 is he talks about Skinwalkers in the Pentagon. That book. So that's a Skinwalker story from Salisbury book. I'll read that. We'll talk about that next week. But he says from that chapter that Garth Myers said no UFOs. Myers lived on the ranch. And Sherman's said never seen any or even knew about the book, supports Myers' experience. But then the Myers had, in that other thing, I'll find that article in Spirit that talks about the scooping out and the blood with the Shermans. I'll find that. We'll talk about that next week. And that is not right, because that's in this article that the guy mentioned in the basement office thing. And this talks about the Shermans having an experience. And he's saying the Shermans had no experience. And this article has a specific thing to that. And he ignored that. So that suggests that the basement office guy with the bad haircut has an agenda. He has an agenda. And so he doesn't want to,
Well, he basically said he didn't believe. I mean,
he's going that
garbage.
Well, I don't.
His is what ours is. We don't,
Well, I'm having trouble believing the Skinwalker stuff too, because of what we see, especially with the TV show.
Yeah.
What happened with Nins shut down? Why it shut the ranch down? It's because Bigelow said nothing was happening, so I'm not going to pay for this stuff anymore, even though he got $22 million for it. And then they go, that's it for Skinwalker. Until next week, and we will talk about
Skinwalkers in the Pentagon.
Skinwalkers in the
Pentagon. Or in the government.
Pentagon. I will read that chapter on from the Utah UFO display about the Shermans and the Myers. I will find that other article about the experience that the Shermans had with being with blood and scoops taken out of their thumbs. That's just bizarre. Let's find out what's going on with that.
Yeah.
And that's it. I can keep my notes together, otherwise they will get destroyed. So do we want to cover the Cosmic Hoax, which was Steven Greer?
I didn't finish it, but I do want to talk about it because this is something new. I've heard rumblings about this. You see the you see them on YouTube and the things about that there is some sort of a, what is the deal with this? I mean, are we saying that, we want to, we're preparing for battle with extraterrestrials? Is this what they're insinuating, or
this is something
the bottom line?
This is like something that Ronald Reagan had brought up, which I think got people thinking about this. And he said something about unifying the world due to an alien threat. And that actually probably originated with the comics book series, The Watchmen.
Yeah.
And where they did a hoax, an alien hoax, to unify the world and prevent nuclear war. I got to read that again. It's a great thing.
Like Independence Day.
Yeah. But The Watchmen by can't remember the guy's name. I should remember his name. He's a famous cartoon, comic book artist, writer. Not artist, he's writer. So their speculation in this Cosmic Hoax, which came out in 2021, is they are saying ET false flag to activate war, which ties in with the whole military industrial complex and the it's the idea to keep the money flowing in the military industrial complex friends and family program. He goes on, he talks about they also talk about the magical energy production secret. And I guess there was also that, did you watch that interview? You caught the end of it, that interview, the live interview with Steven Greer?
Yes.
And I was watching it.
I did see that.
I was watching it and it quit while I was watching it because I came in late. And the guy will re-edit it and post the interview up so you can watch it again if you want. But he's talking about, I guess he's got a new gig going where he's talking about the 0 point magical energy thing. And that actually ties in with that other, you sent me the video, Corey sent you something about on the UFO podcast with that retired.
Yeah, that wacky dude.
Yeah, the retired SAS general. He says that the 0 point researchers are killed and that they're using mobile directed energy weapons to melt people's faces.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that.
And then he says John Alexander is his mentor, the stare at goats guy.
Yeah.
And that a predator
Skinwalker guy.
Yeah, and that a predator type creature had come into his house, I guess, in Spain where he was. And he was able to fight it off or make it go away because he was a former SAS paratrooper.
How does he really talk, Bill?
I don't know. He talks like he's angry.
Paratrooper? Did he talk like Travis Taylor?
Doesn't talk like Travis Taylor. He's got an English accent, which I can't do. He talks like he's like an angry English guy. And if you watch it at 2x speed, he's got some really great facial tics that will engage you because they're like,
great.
Yeah. He wants to let you know that he speaks Spanish a lot. He called that like 2 or 3 times, and he was really, really, really airborne, and he really, really, really was a former professional paratrooper. Oh, and he did mention that phones can be tracked when off, which is true. Your iPhones are tracked when they're off. That's actually
good to know.
Well, Apple has announced that as a feature now. So if somebody steals your phone and turns it off, they can still track your phone.
Who does that?
Who does that?
You call the phone tracking people, or how do you find it?
It's got you have a it's on your phone. It's
yeah, but
it's an app. You just go on your phone. If someone takes your phone, you go on your computer and you do Find My. You do it on and it will tell you where your phone. Yeah.
Find My Phone. Oh, in your Apple account.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can just go get it.
yeah. From whatever psycho.
You just take your laptop with you so you can find out where it's going down the road.
Well, if it's if it's the phone's worth more than $1,000, it's felony theft, and maybe the cops, depending on where you live, will respond. If you're in California, they're just not going to do anything because there's no laws in California anymore for regular people. But if you're in other countries, other states that are still, have some semblance of civilization, it could happen. Florida, it will happen. They'll help you. The cops will help you in Florida. But California, I think you're engaged. On your own. Yeah, they're busy. In California, we're too busy with their big strong union making sure that they're doing well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy was talking about 0 point energy, and then the Steven Greer was talking about it. I guess his new movie gig. There's something coming up where they're doing raising money to make a movie for about 0 point energy, which I think this whole 0 point magical energy thing, I think is crap, except for an unusual experience that I had a few months ago.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And there's this old timer that works at a facility that I go to, and he's the groundskeeper. And he has owned a bunch of businesses in the area. He had one of the first cell phone franchises in the area, and he got that franchise because he helped a guy out that was having trouble with his RV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a great story. So he just helped the guy out, and the guy had an RV, and it was for game day, and the guy couldn't level his RV. And so he said, "Well, he was like next to him. He said, "Well, let me take a look at your RV." Well, when he bought it, it was a brand new RV, and the pneumatic leveling system, one of the hoses was off, hadn't been put on after servicing or setup or whatever when the guy bought it. So he set up got the hose working, got the guy's leveling system to work on the RV, and they got talking, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I've just gotten the license for the first cell phone service in the area, and I'm selling franchises, and I'll set you up." It's just like one of those situations where you can start out being it can be a con job, or it could be a gold mine.
Yeah, I'd be a little skeptical.
Yeah, so the guy got involved in it, and he says, yeah, he was the first distributor for, and he's talking about the big blocky cell phones, the one with the large box.
The brick.
You plug it into the cigarette lighter, and you'd stick the antenna on the roof with a magnet. And he said the thing was so lucrative at the time. He says he got money every time somebody made a call with a phone he sold. He made money on the sale of phone. I think he made money on the service kickback from the registration for whatever thing is. And every time somebody made a phone call, he got money. And he goes, the only reason, and the guy's working, this is his retirement job. He does this yard working stuff just because it's to keep busy. And he's got a ranch. Yeah. And his wife goes, the only reason we have any money is because of that, help that guy fix his car, fix his RV, and you got the franchise. So anyway, but he was telling me that he helped a guy following Tesla's patents. Now, Tesla has built these devices that are supposed to take electricity out of the air.
Yeah.
And he said he helped a guy make one of these things. And it does pull electricity. It does pull electricity from the other. He says it doesn't pull a lot. And he goes, he helped him with the machining of some of the parts, and they had to be very specific. But that they got it to work, and it generates a small amount of electricity. And I'm waiting until I see him again. I want to ask him about that. That said, I don't believe this 0 point energy stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I had that weird experience talking to this guy. He was telling me about this Tesla machine, and I want to go back next time I see him. I want to tell me about the Tesla machine. Can I see it? I want to ask him if tell me about it. But yeah,
was this developed from Nikola Tesla? Or
yeah, Nikola Tesla, not Elon Musk Tesla, who's now on the death list from the Ukraine. Ukraine's going to get
only for Musk. 5 minutes, and then he was back. Or 15
yeah,
minutes.
well, you don't know if he's just off the public list. He might be on the official list. You don't know with these things. So Steven Greer is talking about that. Who are you waving at? You waving at the neighbors?
Debbie's home.
Oh, she's back
from the dog walk. She's back.
Walk. She leaves when you're doing this, so she doesn't have to listen to you.
She meets her friend at the river down there, and they throw the sticks in the water for the dogs, and Max goes swimming. Running around chasing coyotes and deer and
did he chase
squirrels?
Has he chased coyotes?
Nah, I just shouldn't say chase coyotes, but Debbie's to tell you the story. There's a horse ring down there where people take their horses, and there was a couple of coyotes down there, and Debbie, walked to shoo them away because she didn't want them harass do anything. Because I've had them where the dogs will chase them. Annabelle, the other dog we had,
would chase the coyotes.
We met her, and what they do is they run them into another group of coyotes, and then when they get there, like, oh shit. Well, luckily they were on the golf course, and the coyotes are chasing her after she was chasing them, and the golfers are like got their golf clubs. They're like, hey, hey. So they shoot the coyote. She's got her leash. I lost her off the leash. She had her leash dragging behind her as she's running around, but Debbie saw these couple of coyotes down there, and so she went to shoo them away. She one of those things where get out of here, and the things started walking towards her. So she's like, oh shit. Wildlife fighting back.
Well, they're not. We grew up out there. They were so heavily hunted, they stayed away from people because they knew better.
They're eating hot dogs and stuff now.
Yeah, nobody hunts them anymore, so they don't fear people. And people are like, oh, look at the cute coyote. Yeah. Look at the cute coyote. Kill your dog and eat it.
Well, they right at the street behind us. There's a court behind us.
Yeah,
I don't know if I told you this story.
You did.
The thing grabbed the neighbor's cat.
Yeah.
And started running down the street with it, and they're yelling at it. Well, there's some children playing. Yeah, next to the road where the thing's running down the road is on a court, so it's running out toward the main street. And they drops this dead cat right in front of the small children. They're screaming, and it's running off after it killed the neighbor's cat and left it lying there. Well, I mean, they're just. I'll be sitting there. They'll be walking down. I have deer and coyotes wandering up and down the street.
I think by the river. I think there was a rabbit running around here, and there was turkeys at one point. We haven't seen those for a long time. Yeah, we have turkeys too. Nothing like that. Possum, raccoon, rabbit, turkeys, heron, great heron. I forget.
You have any fish in that pond that you guys have there?
There's no fish in that pond.
No.
I was.
Is it salt water?
No, it's fresh water, but it's there's not enough oxygen in it. You need to throw a pump in to spray water to oxygenate it. Yeah, and they haven't done that, so it's not a very habitable. It's got frogs, so mosquitoes, frogs and mosquitoes. No fish. So I was trying to get mosquito fish in it, but it's too hard to deal with the housing people, the neighborhood group. They say the neighborhood group says there's mosquito fish in it. So I said, well, let's get mosquito fish. They go, well, we've already put them in, but we don't think they're living. We don't think they lived.
They didn't live.
No. Yeah. Hey,
let's crocodile in there.
Alligator. No, every once in a while, but they move on because I don't think it's big enough for them, or they get moved on.
There's no food in there.
It's usually a male that's trying to get somewhere, looking for the honeys, and or they're little ones that have been forced out by bigger crocodiles from other places, so they're moving somewhere where they're less likely to get eaten by their friends or their father or mother. Let's wrap it up, and then next week we'll do more of the Cosmic Hoax on that movie.
Good. Yeah, I'll check out the rest of it.
Part 2 of the Basement Office. I actually got the NASA news release for the DART mission, which I'll talk about. Yeah. We'll do that. Actually, it was successful. It was interesting what they did. We didn't do any Omni, so we always have lots to talk about.
Yeah. So remember when I first started this? We first started it too. And Debbie says, "Is there going to be enough, material in this for you to?" I go, "It's endless."
It is.
And endless. I lied. And again, for those who are the Facebook guys and the YouTube that have checked in, thank you. It's I really enjoy hearing from you, and I'll mention you guys. I won't mention your last names, but we all have a common interest. We're trying to just wade our way through the information. I don't know if we're going to solve anything, but we'll at least talk about it.
Well, we might. There may be.
You just never know.
There may be clues. I mean,
I just want to see one.
What's that? You just want to put your hands on it.
I want to land it in front of my house.
And then
just land.
Go out there.
Let me get a good picture.
Yeah, a good photo. And no one will believe it because it'll be so sharp and clear. They go, oh, that's fake.
There's no way that's real.
There's no way that's real. You'll get a great picture and you're going, no, it's a deep, it's a fake, deep fake. You'll be doing a selfie in front of it, and they go, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't have an antenna on top of it, I think it'll be okay.
I like the
You love that picture.
I think it's
I like the picture, but it just there's an antenna. I can't
the
do the
little
car
antenna.
antenna sticking out of the top.
Little
It's a little
antenna
too
is
comic book.
Yeah,
Too comic book.
It looks exactly like something out of a toy store. So, all right. All right.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website, Alien Probe, at alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at Alien Probe Pod. Check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe to YouTube at Alien Probe Podcast. That should pop right up to the top. Thanks to our senior producer and the traveling Saigon, Robert Anthony, who's having a great time doing some things out there. And thanks again, Dr. Bill. What you got there, Bill?
City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh, yeah.
Screenplay book. There's another one. No, there's another one that I just bought. This one's actually signed by Harlan Ellison.
That is awesome. Don't lose that.
Oh, well, check this out. And, hang on. One more.
That was one of the best episodes of Star Trek.
And there's the picture.
There it is.
There's the picture that we got.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got my apron. I got my
I got mine.
Got mine too. I got it right here. This thing's gonna be mounted and put it on the wall. I'm running out of wall space. I told Deb I need a bigger studio.
Bigger wall.
She's not going for it though. I may have to move to the game room.
Oh yeah. That's you have a nice setup in there.
Yeah, and now that the sound is, remember we got out of there because the sound was weird, but I think we got that solved.
Yeah, let's
do this again next week.
Yes, let's wrap it up. We could talk for hours, and we do. So
watch the skies.
Watch the skies. Watch the skies. Till next time.
See you next